right, gentlemen. Align always, play together, and have a good time. Let's go, boys.
Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys.
Let's go, team.
Let's go, team.
Let's go for that team.
Will be late to the Roman again. They're going to go for the pushback this time. They'll find their man. Razork now in trouble. Instantly going to try to leap over the wall and get a little bit more done. Doesn't quite have the damage. He's got a low blinking health bar for the calling. He's cutting him down quick. Cabo waiting off to the side. Upset. Where's he going to go? Flashing from Razork. Instant knock. I'm going to get the kill down. Zhao doing a bit of work. And Targaman's running. As Fnatic is pretty positive overall. Bo now going in. Man, just like the stun. Oh! Oh! But in the meantime, Oscar just making sure Bo cannot come to play. Burning down the bear. Fnatic keeps their eyes on the prize. Targaman's going to drop down as well. It's the Oscar-rated show on the top side. Kasante, baby.
Hey, welcome back to the Riot Games Arena after Fnatic brings their first victory here in 2024, and I have Oscarinin with me to talk about this game. You smurfed so much this game. It was incredible. And there was a lot of back and forth, but I also want to mention the audience with the KC members on one side and the really, really loud Fnatic fans on the other. I feel like it's the first time we have a mood like this in the LEC studio, Oscar. How did you feel it as a player?
I mean, honestly, it was crazy to have such two big crowds, like one cheering for K-Corp and one cheering for us. Like it was, you could really feel the tension in the crowd. And it was honestly really nice to feel that because like I didn't really feel it before. And yeah, now with this big crowd, with the new stadium, it feels insane.
New mood, louder fans, that's the new resolution we're going to say for the studio this year. But what is your new resolution for 2024, Oscar? Because this is your second year in the LEC. You came in last year at a rough time for the team, and when the team was trying to rebuild itself, Worlds for the first time as well. What is going to be Oscarinin this year? What is new for you?
I mean, this 2024, I just want to be the best. I think last year I proved that I could be one of the best for sure. And yeah, this year I just want to play as best as I know and be the best top laner in the league.
And I think this is the right way to do it, at least for the first game, because you won the Kia Player of the Game today, Oscar.
Thank you. I mean...
You expect it?
I mean, not really.
All right.
I mean, no, of course I expected it. Like, I completely smurfed, you know?
Smurfed out of control, honestly, but I love the confidence that you're bringing in this year.
I mean...
Thank you, Berlin. But yeah, MVP, what is your main goal going to be as a player? You say you want to be the best.
Yeah.
What is it going to take to be the best? What did you learn from Worlds on that sense, playing against stronger top laner and other opposition?
I think playing Worlds is a really insane experience because like playing against Asian top laners, I feel like you learn a lot about laning, about how they move and everything. And yeah, I just want to prove what I learned on Worlds and this year, and yeah, just improve what I have to be the best.
And Fnatic, I feel like, is keeping a solid base when it comes to the composition and the players you have, because you only replaced one member, bringing in June in the bot lane alongside Noah. Tell me about how has it been working with him, because we were talking about this at the desk, the fact that they can communicate well on the bot lane being two Korean players, but how does it translate to the rest of the lineup, and how do you think Fnatic is going to change having this new player?
I feel like June is like different from Tripme at least. I feel like he's really aggressive in lane and he has a lot of weird picks. And what also improved a lot, I feel like, is that Noah and June like understand each other really well. I feel like they have a lot of synergy and they bring a really good mood into the team. And yeah, I feel like they feel really close to each other, and that's really important for a bot lane, right? And yeah, I think they are a really aggressive bot lane, and yeah, they are gonna show that, I guess.
We'll see what is the revamped version of Fnatic about in 2024. That's all for us on the interview, Oscar. Thank you so much for joining me today. Congrats again on getting the MVP. We have Razork on the other side with Sjokz. Anything you want to tell him?
Solo quiero decir que la cachorrita esta partida ha estado bastante bien.
I will leave it to this. Sjokz, back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was like Big Brother on the big screen. I think that means he thinks you did well, Razork?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think
Is that correct?
I think I did well.
Do you think so as well?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So, great game. I think you did really, really well, actually. We have some replays, you know. I think you were really impactful in the right moments. Overall, though, you said when you joined the desk it was a pretty tricky game to play. Why was that?
Well, I think K-Corp is a pretty decent team, and I think usually the first day of LEC, teams are a bit more scared to make mistakes, and games are a bit slower. And yeah, we made many mistakes, they made many mistakes, and it came all down to like better comp or like better team fighting around objectives, and I think we were just better today doing it, so we won.
So you won. Jamada, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I feel like even though the early game, I guess, was a little bit slow, I think around specifically it was the Herald fight was a bit messy. Can you maybe talk to us about that? What were the comms like there? Because I think it realistically could have gone either way. I think it ended up being a bit of an even fight. But again, talk us through that.
Well, I'm a bit mad to Humanoid because of that fight, because like I'm pretty sure this was a free fight if he just insta TPs, but he was like holding it and he was like a bit confused. And I think if he just insta TPs, we just sweep them. Like Jax walked us to us and he got to 1 HP instantly. And then just my Chinthao was like really strong because it's like my strongest moment in the game. And it was like, I think 3-4-3 or 3-4-4. I don't know. It was like very close fight. But I think this would be a one fight for us, like 3-4-0 or 2-4-0 for us.
Yeah, it went better after, though. This is a bit of a highlight reel of your play. Broxah, you were saying you were so happy seeing the Jax coming out, specifically versus Zhao. So why did the Xin still take off?
Well, Bo made some early mistakes, and obviously Razork had the edge for most of the game. Bo had some moments where he came back, but ultimately it seemed like Fnatic were just able to play better as a team, really. And I was wondering, Razork, what is your communication like now with Trimby being gone? Because I know you guys mentioned last year when he joined that he leveled up your communication a lot. So what's it like now in comparison?
Yeah, I think I improved a lot with Trimby, and I think at the end of the summer split and including Worlds, I was kind of the main shot caller with Humanoid. Humanoid was taking over more mid-game. So I feel like right now I consider myself the captain or the shot caller of the team. I think I learned so much about macro. Marek has taught me a lot, and right now I feel like I can put that into the game by myself. Sometimes I even ask questions and he can like answer or help me in game. But I feel like I can like lead the team right now.
Okay, we were talking about Fnatic last year and how you peaked really high at times, specifically in Europe, but that when you looked at the year, you had to deal with different rosters constantly. Are you more at ease now knowing that, okay, we know what we got, what we learned from Worlds, we changed one part in the bot lane, and now ideally you'll have a whole year to kind of work on that project? I mean, I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah, I mean, last year was a really stressful winter and spring. I mean, things were just not going our way. And I feel like right now we only changed one player, and Noah is very comfortable with June in the ball lane. I'm also really comfortable with June because in the beginning he was like very shy player, kind of the Korean style. But I feel like he now feels like he's in his team, you know, like he's at home. So he feels much more comfortable. He's also really funny, and I like him a lot, yeah.
I saw his video he did. Like, I think he's going to be funny in content. It's always good in Fnatic. Pete's really happy.
How do you feel about playing jungle on the new patch? Like, how do you like it so far? What's your experience?
I think it's good change. I like the change. I think it was necessary. I like the bot grabs, like you can actually get that extra camp, and also there are some tricks that you can just one leave, you know, you get a lot of XP from it. I think it adds a spiciness to the game, and I honestly like what I'm seeing so far, because you can play anything. You can play carry, you can play like kind of tank, like with the Sejuani, Rell, and this kind of champs, or you can just go with the Titanic abusers, the Chinthao or Jax.
Yeah, that's good. And I kind of want to ask, you spoke about a couple of the champions. We've seen a lot of the champs that we saw last year, with probably the exception of Xin Zhao probably standing out. Do you think we're going to get a slightly different jungle meta with that in mind? It's harder to gank, there's more stuff to do with the grubs, and like you say, you get maybe a bit of an XP lead. Do you think we might see a couple more heavy farmers kind of come out from time to time with that in mind?
I'm not sure how the meta will develop, but I mean, for sure it's harder to gank. You could see on top, like the Gragas spots a ward and he spots the whole lane. But for sure it's easier to dive, at least on bot lane from red side. So you will see a lot of dives, and also mid laners can easily move right now. Even if you don't have prio, you can just give up the wave. You have a path to your blue buff, so it's like really easy to collapse on enemy jungler. So invades really need to be well synchronized right now.
A lot to learn, but it sounds like you're pretty excited about it. You're playing well on the patch, I would say. If we look at this game, we're going to take a look at the Baron steal as well once again. And, well, Oscarinen also just kidnaps Bo out of the pit, I believe. Let's take a look.
Yeah, we were just calling that Oscar was going to take out the the Jax, and I can just smite.
So it was easy.
I mean, he made it easy for me.
Yeah, exactly.
He kind of
That's what
set
I
me up to steal that one. On the first one, it was like 79 HP. The heat on the moment kind of pushed me to smite a bit earlier, but it was very close. Yeah.
Okay. Generally, with the Baron change and how there's 3 different ones, etc., I thought maybe it would make a bigger impact in terms of it being harder to take. Seems like that's not really the case, or?
I think it is so hard to take.
Okay.
Like right now,
Broxah was lying to me.
You won't you won't see too many Baron Rush at minute 20. I mean,
Yeah.
this game, K-Corp did it because they had Azir. And they just kind of one-shot Nash.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like you have Nash with 15k HP at minute 20. That's way harder to take than
Yeah.
before. So, I mean, yeah, you won't see people rushing Nash, but there will be a lot of fights around Nash. People
Regardless.
trying to bait the objective and fighting around it, for sure.
I mean, Riot was trying to make it a bit more interesting because it was kind of always the same with the Riot. Do you think they have succeeded here? Like, do you think it's going to be more dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, there is one Nash setup where you can enter from both sides. Yeah. That's like
sick.
So weird to set up and fight because enemy general can steal it from all the sides. He doesn't even need the dash, you know, you just need people to actually stop him from moving. So I think it's going to be interesting, this new season.
It sounds like it will be. Next up, we have GIANTX going up against Vitality. We're almost there. Jamada, what are your thoughts? Of course, changes to both rosters?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Finn. He's not here, but I'll kind of speak his mind a little bit as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how Jackie's does because I think he performed quite well in a lot of the in-houses that I got to peek at. So, you know, debut as a rookie into a Vitality squad, which is pretty much completely revamped. I think it's a very exciting game for him to look into.
That's a great introduction to that game. So let's head over to our casters.
Hey, thank you very much. It is a great introduction to the matchup, and we're going to talk more about Jackie's in-game. I think his story and how GIANTX found him is so incredibly interesting in the whole esports landscape, but I want to start with a bit of nostalgia and embarrassment, because IgNar is back, and what did he just achieve last year? It was beating G2 and embarrassing our entire region. That said, we still love him because he came back, and yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy can do for GIANTX.
How Chad of a move is that, though? Beat them and then go, here, look, lads, I'll come over and show you how it's done. All right, let me teach you how to actually play. But look, IgNar has definitely been a massive part of LEC history when you look back at like what he did with Misfits back in 2017 when he was in the World semi-finals up against T1. Took some ball 5 games, brought out the Fervor Leona, was a very instrumental part of that roster, and then eventually moving back over towards the LCK, then back to Schalke, before moving over towards the LCS, where we did find him eventually kicking our asses.
Yeah, notoriously, you know, evolved as a player, also embarrassed us. On the upside, you know, Vetheo in the mid lane. This is not a traditional featured matchup here. We're just kind of, these are 2 players that we've got our eyes on, other than Jackie's. Vetheo, a guy who, again, when you take a look at it, 3-12, 11-9, didn't have the overall best year. Slightly positive on Team Heretics, terrible time on XL, now known as GIANTX, obviously after the merger. So this is a guy who I don't quite know where to read him. I hyped him up big time after his time on Misfits, the Akali split, that game where he strapped a Yuumi to his back and essentially 2v8'd, I guess, since the cat is included in that. He's now surrounded by some veteran talent as well as Hylissang is joining the lineup. So, you know, these are 2 teams where I think we get to see, hopefully, new versions of mini players.
Yeah, I mean, both players kind of having that miracle moment on Misfits, which I think is kind of sick. But
it's true.
we'll have to see, as we start to come into this, who's going to be able to get the better half. Because I think, as you say, right, Vetheo, I think, disappointing time in XL, but looked immensely better when he moved across to Heretics.
Sure.
I was really impressed with some of his chase plays, and I think he found himself growing on Heretics before now he's moving across. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he does on Vitality and how he kind of operates with this new team. And then looking across at IgNar, I think the big one is just bringing a shot caller into the roster. IgNar was the shot caller for NRG, and we talked about a lot of Worlds, so I think bringing that voice in is going to be super interesting, especially having that caller on the bot side, because for NRG, they're very much a team focused on the top side of the map, but that's not really a style that I think will work for this team. So I'm curious to see how that then adjusts coming into this new lineup.
Yeah, and certainly the development of communication for GIANTX as well. Peach obviously having to adapt pretty quickly in the previous year, trying to learn as much English as quickly as possible. Picking up a second language, always going to be difficult. Now has had a bit more time to breathe, a bit more time to, you know, do what is necessary to be able to adapt, to be able to communicate with the team. And so I think between his increasing proficiency with English and IgNar coming into the team as well, you can expect a team that functions much, much more cohesively. And that could make GIANTX very terrifying, because when you look back to Excel's miracle run where they were so close to making Worlds, you know, that kind of came out of nowhere, and that doesn't feel like something you can bet on twice, realistically. So would love to see them kind of level up with this new roster and show us more.
And I think that is the question mark coming into this, is like, what version of GIANTX do we get? Do we get Excel from the start of the year, or do we get them with that crazy run that saw them go right the way into our season finals as well? But I think it's going to be a uphill road for GIANTX as they start to try and get these new pieces working together. Whereas when we look across at Mad Lions Koi, I think this is obviously a new band of upstarts coming in. A lot of these guys coming up from EMEA Masters this year. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to find that success for themselves.
Give it up, Berlin. Here we are. Jackie's Vetheo fist bump. IgNar returning to the stage against Hylissang. Banger support matchup, I just have to say. Absolute fire here to kick us off. Coaches coming out on stage as well. Moments away now from picks and bans. Oh, I'm hyped, man. I'm ready to see what these guys have got.
I've realized I just completely brain farted and started talking about Mad Lions Koi when Vitality here. My brain just went, no, which is the next game? It is the next game.
To be fair, Mac and Pad have joined Team Vitality. Hylissang and Carzzy have joined Team Vitality.
That
so
is
I think
fair.
an excusable brain fart, Rob.
Yeah.
We'll accept that. Although we do need to find a new term for that particular thing. I don't know if brain fart is super great. Here you go. You now see Coach Carter. Of course, Mac has moved into a managerial position. So is Carter and Pad on stage. Facing down the opposition.
I think for me the big question mark here is going to be for Vitality. Daglas, you kind of gave him, as we talked about in E4, a clean slate coming into this split, where Vitality was a bit of a disaster last year. So trying to see if he can now slot in with this new roster, I think is going to be super interesting. As we do get into picks and bans, looks like, I imagine we're going to start to target things like the Ashe, the Kalista, the Nocturne. These have all been very much staples over the course of today.
Yeah, they have been. Feels pretty static when it comes to bans thus far. LeBlanc did make it through in the previous game, was not selected. See if that is as much of a terror on stage as it was in the in-houses. Taking our time. Ashe gonna get banned away. Rumble, considered very strong as well. Expect that to be the first response, but instead the LeBlanc. Gotta give that respect to Vetheo, certainly area of comfort for him.
I think it is interesting to see the massively different reads that we had from all the different teams though so far. Like when you look at Fnatic, hey, tank frontline, scaling a Chanter with scaling an AD carry, and just try and make that work in the later stages of the game. We look towards what Karmine Corp brought. It was like, hey, we're going to end up going for these more burst heavy with the Gragas and like a little bit more of a squishy lineup. And we've also seen some very aggressive early game champions coming through from BDS with like the Renekton and the Kalista and Pyke bot lane. So I think it's super interesting to see as we start to go through today how each of the team has read the patch, because I mean obviously it only came out a couple of days ago. Teams have been playing on the in-houses, but it feels like very different reads from a lot of these teams.
And I will say it's interesting. You're in an interesting situation. This is an incredibly unique situation just coming into the season, having so little time to prepare on the patch, having no other data to really pull from when it comes to the patch up until it came out on solo queue on Wednesday. So you're working with a very tight period of time. On top of that, we were playing pre-hotfix. So Riot Games basically said, here's a list of all the champions that are broken. And it's a massive opportunity for any team who feels comfortable to adapt on the fly to go, I am playing a statistically over-tuned champion right now. The more of those I pick up, probably, if I can perform on them, the higher my chances to win.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't seen Fizz today. I don't know if we're going to get to see Fizz,
Give me the fish. That's all I'm saying.
Look, Storm Surge is a very, very strong item on a lot of ludicrous
All I'm saying
champions,
is,
so.
I know it's a high-pressure debut for Jackies, but if he does it on Fizz and wins,
that'd be baller.
That would be the most baller thing I've seen in a very long time, yes. But for now, it's kind of the stock standard. Kalista will be locked in. A lot of good on-hit itemization coming through on the patch, and Kalista as oppressive as ever. But the quick response from Patrik is the Draven. Another super aggressive champion. Bot lane, kind of as always on this patch, expected to be explosive. What is the pairing going to be for the side of Team Vitality?
Yeah, I'm curious. There are like a lot of very aggressive supports you can go for with the Kalista. Like we heard the guys talking about things like the Analyst that have come through. We've even seen some people experimenting. Shout out to Ox, who was experimenting with this yesterday, but I have seen other players pick it up, is Blood Song Nautilus, because basically it's the Sheen proc support item. You do a lot of damage with that pick if you do want to go hyper aggressive and work with your Kalista to go for that very oppressive 2v2, but gonna go back towards the Jax, which is also very impressive with the Titanic Hydra. We'll have to see what the final lock-in is gonna be here. Do they just go for a mid laner here and secure that for themselves? No.
Taking their time. Obviously, Renata was kind of pick of the litter when it came to blind pickable supports at Worlds. Still very much feels like the case. She's kind of this nice in-between between the ranged enchanters and the melee engage options. That would be incredibly aggressive. It would also be oh, he does it! Game 1! Back on the LEC stage, we get the IgNar Blitzcrank. Hook Legend. Will it be enough against Carzzy and Hylissang? Bot lane, we know for sure. It's getting ganks, it's getting kills. Someone somewhere in the bot lane will be dying.
But that's the thing, right? I think it makes it very difficult for Vitality to play that aggressive. Because you can't really play up if you end up getting hooked as the Kalista or even as the Renata. It's going to be a bad time into the Draven. So it's kind of put manners onto the bot lane from Vitality and given that opportunity for Peach now, who has arguably the most aggressive jungler, one of the most aggressive junglers to say on the patch, to see how he is going to be able to try and play around this bottom side. Maybe we end up with a similar thing to what we saw last game with the Jax being flexed into the jungle as an answer to this Xin Zhao, but we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is for Vitality as we roll into the next stages.
No, Cassante now going to be taken off the board. You saw Oscarinen's performance in the previous game. You can understand why the champion just looks very strong, especially if it's able to get a lead. So much of the itemization that has been buffed this patch is accessible to Cassante and a lot of the support itemization as well. And all of that he turns into damage, really, when he ults. So that's a lovely and fun interaction.
I will also say Ornn is pretty busted on this patch if you're going to be looking for those top lane tanks, which Odo has kind of been very happy to take and just, hey, I'll survive the laning phase and take it to you in a team fight. And I think when you've already got a squad that's a Draven, you can try and take something like an Azir, maybe even here for Jackies. That's a great team fight that you've set up with even the pick potential of a Blitzcrank to kind of supplement that.
And the nice thing about the potential Jax flex is they really have to pick a double flex here. It has to be something like the Gragas, something that could, in theory, jungle if they want to threaten that flex, because GIANTX are, of course, on red side. The question is, who do they want to save that last pick, counter pick for? Well, they're not going to save it for Jackie's. Interesting. Despite it being his first game on stage, he is confident enough to just blind pick the Neeko. Of course, relatively safe blind pick, can provide a lot of utility for the team. Doesn't need to be the star hyper carry by any means, but just need to look to set up a lot of those fights.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, with the Neeko is that you end up with pretty low damage if this Draven doesn't pop off. So you will end up getting the Rell, which I like as an adaptation. Take the Rell into the jungle. You've got that tank that if either of these carries don't really get into a position where they're just hard carrying the game, it's going to be difficult to try and get through that front line. You've also got a very up close and personal composition from GIANTX, where Rell can get a ton of value.
Rob,
yes.
All I will say, and I don't believe it, but I will say it, is that the first time I saw Bo play Jungle Jax, he was supposed to play Rell, and I think he and Cabo didn't swap in time or decided at the last second to just roll with it and see what happened. So I do still expect to see the Jax in the top lane against a champion like Aatrox. I can't imagine Rell would have a good time, so we won't get the flex this time around, but I just want to put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Aatrox in general on this patch. Big lethality item user. Even things like the Eclipse that doesn't give you lethality anymore, but even just the extra damage you get off the 2 hits is super nice for him. And then he's very, very flexible with the build paths he can go for. So into the Jax, I think he'll do relatively okay.
Also, lethality's good. Lethality's just much stronger. It's essentially just 40% stronger in the early game.
Yeah, and I've even seen people like going for like Spear Shojin and that kind of stuff and being a little bit more of a your kind of typical tanky bruiser kind of style rather than just going for full lethality. So with Sundered Sky as your main first item as well. So I think that's the kind of one that we'll probably see Odoamne go for into this matchup to get a bit of that, more of that tanky stats, have the heal available for you, just up against the Jax would be super nice as well. But again, I think GIANTX very clear, hey, we want a team fight. We're going to be using IgNar as a go tool or Jackies, hopefully coming in some of these flanks to set us up for success in that regard. Whereas for Vitality, at least you've got some pressure on side lanes thanks to that Jax, who will scale into the game as it goes on, but also then having a very strong 4-man team fight with that Rell to pull the button.
Well, the Rell and Renata especially, and you look at the side of GIANTX, relatively short range composition, the Xin, the Aatrox, the Draven. I'll need to be a little bit closer. It's not a Caitlyn, it's not a traditional scaling, hyper carry. It can be very vulnerable. So kind of eyes on GIANTX to see if they can come out on top. Here we go. 4th game of the day. Building up like it's an EDM drop. We're just dropping into Summoner's Rift. 2 Draven.
It's so chill. It's ready for the boom. And it's just like little
We're baited.
piano in the
It's
background.
like that Lonely Island video. Where's the drop? I think the player who, because there's so many exciting stories that we haven't really got to talk about too much yet, is Daglas. Now we'll talk about Jackie shortly. But Daglas, obviously a guy who I don't think really got a fair shot at the LEC stage. Was subbing in for Bo when Vitality were already kind of down and out. So I want to see what he can do in this matchup. Obviously, some pretty powerful solo laners and a lot of tools to set up. It's not going to be about him carrying like it was for Razork in the previous game. So can't just fish. And base attack speed not high enough, boys. Odoamne and Peach just have to walk away, knowing their jungle is warded.
Yeah, they're going to be happy to just set up. At least you'll have an idea that Peach is starting on the top side, but I think to everyone, when you see Kalista versus Draven, it's like, I wonder what lane the junglers are going to. I'll give you one guess. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure down towards this bottom side. I think the question mark is more so as you look at like Daglas. He is starting towards his Raptors. Is it like a 3 camp into bot side, which could be the option here? Whereas for Peach, it looks like it'd be more of like, well, could still go for 3 camps, but certainly going to be a little bit behind the play.
But very crucially, IgNar was not able to find the hook. Burning the hook, of course, giving Vitality free license to step forward. IgNar then wards the bush. Vitality, enough base attack speed to take that one down. We're ready. That much harder for IgNar to now play the lane if he ever loses control of that brush.
There is an option here for Carzzy and Hilly to try and play for a 3rd wave crash and then look to invade on this bottom side. I think that's one of the big things that this map change gives you is the fact you're able to almost zone completely off Patrik and IgNar from helping out their jungler, but with the size of this wave, not sure if they'll be able to quite get the timing here. Should be able to crash it just here, but I think against the Blitzcrank, this can be a little bit more difficult because the whole idea is, hey, we want to try and abuse this wall to keep you separated from the enemy jungler, but with the Blitzcrank being able to very quickly pull you to the opposite side of that equation, may not be the best of times.
Can be tricky, but as you predicted, with bot prio secured for the side of Vitality, it frees up Daglas to walk into enemy jungle. Can't really stick around here. Level 1 for Patrik and IgNar, just now going to go for the wave, and Daglas looks like he's going to start this one off. Clean cleanse out from Patrik. Daglas could be in trouble. He's now pulled back and taken down for first blood. A generous donation to Patrik's retirement fund. And that is a terrible way to start your year in the LEC.
Yeah, the timing on it just wasn't there. You can see they put the ward down, they knew that Xin was there. I think you just need to back it off. With the cleanse and the flash back, there's not really much you can do on that bottom side, and now you're just gifting that first kill over to the Draven, who's going to be very happy to start building those lethality items and getting rolling.
IgNar. Hook now coming in on a Hylissang knockup. Patrik out of mana, he needs to keep those axes stacking, and if he drops them, he's not going to have a chance to get them back. Hylissang burning, but Carzzy zoning enough to push Patrik back. Vitality just trying to get this wave in, but have to be careful. Hook could be up shortly.
Still a Peach in the area as well. Isn't going to start to move down towards this bot side. Oh, actually, as I say that, just going to finish off the scuttle and look to go for it. I wasn't sure if he's going to go for a reset and try and like play off the advantage he got, but now you're in a terrible spot. Spotted there by the Ghost, and immediately Vitality are out of it.
And now this early game gets pretty tricky to navigate. What I'm about to say is an absolute cope, so bear with me.
All
the good news is Draven didn't have that many stacks, but he's getting another cash out, baby! Peach now going for the follow-up here. The knockup is there. Peach is going to get that one solo bolo. This is bot side domination. My God.
I'm real glad you said that was a cope before you started, because if that happened immediately, as you said that, it was going to be a disaster. But it's not really a disaster here. IgNar, fantastic hook. Hilly knows that he's there, doesn't realize the Patrik stopped the back. Peach doesn't go for the reset either and managed to catch Carzzy. This bot lane's over. Like, this is just done and dusted. GIANTX have completely decimated this bot lane.
This is a disgusting lead. And reminder, if you don't understand how lethality works, that's fair, because if you haven't been playing League for a million years, you don't, it's a weird stat. But TLDR on this patch is that you used to get, what lethality means, instead of just being flat armor pen, was you got 60% of the value up front, 40 over time. That number has changed a couple of times, but that was the most recent number. Now, it's just 1-to-1 flat armor pen. So early buying lethality, you're just getting a 40% buff. That armor pen is just 40% stronger early on, which means Carzzy and Hylissang functionally have no armor in this lane phase.
And as well, I mean, the fact you get easy access to like Youmu's and all these other things that at least you used to kind of be taken away from because they were mythics, it's no longer a thing. So now you can just go for the Youmu's, collectors, all this kind of stuff and just immediately go, hey, I can run you down in lane. I've got an insane amount of damage, and it becomes very, very difficult for Vitality to try and deal with, which is why Daglas once more is down here. If they want to make a play, they've got to be quick because Peach is in the area. Tunneler to a Ruby Crystal, Peach is going to decimate Daglas.
Patrick's just going to walk away. There's a TP now coming in. Peach is just on the way down. They need to get out of here fast. This is not a, if first you don't succeed, try again. This is, oh, it's going to work out the same way. IgNar says, get back here. And we're being quickly reminded why IgNar was a legend on this champion. Although to be fair,
us.
Oh.
I thought that's where you're going.
he's doing what he did to G2 to Vitality, which is, well, now that we've seen a few minutes of it, not that surprising. He's getting pretty proficient here.
This is a great start for GIANTX, though. I think, I mean, ourselves included.
Is great a sufficient word? That's my question for you, Rob. This is, I would say, disgusting.
If you want me to bring out the Irish
immaculate
books of sayings, I can be like, it's a fierce start. If you
fierce?
really want
I don't know what that means in Irish idioms.
We have like anyway, we have a term which is like fierce mild for when it's like relatively mild out for weather. But top side.
Top side, not fierce mild, just fierce. Photon trying to get a bit of extra poke in, but just alt for alt trade here on the top side. No TP for either top laner as Daglas will get the objective.
One of the nice things here about the Rell, though, is because you have the Q, you can actually get rid of the shield on a lot of these guys. So actually being able to clear this out is relatively quick as a Rell, which is nice. Sometimes you need a little bit of extra help because your damage can be a bit behind, but yeah, super nice able to clear that out. And now for Vitality, at least that's something back in the map. But when I look across GIANTX, one of the biggest things I was looking at was, hey, how does Peach perform? How does I felt like the bot lane was going to have to be the ones that really stepped up, and they are putting a lot of those doubts that I had that were leveraged towards GIANTX to sleep. Patrik and IgNar, fantastic start to the game. Peach has been really good at making sure that he's in this bot side to continue putting Patrik and IgNar in a position where they can't really be punished.
And when you're on the side of Vitality, this is such a tricky game to navigate. You're at a massive deficit. You have what feels like late game insurance in the form of the Azir, but a Kalista who's fallen behind like this, it's so tough to play the game out. Definitely difficult start for Vitality. But perhaps on the top side of the map, Photon could maybe get some support. Maybe they look to bring it back. Top lane notoriously hard to play through. I don't want to say it's doomed. I haven't seen enough on this patch to say it's doomed. But this is a very bad start.
I think the problem with this patch is as you start to fall behind, is Jackie's now going to be all right. Is if you're not able to start trading things like the dragons early for yourself, but then it's like, oh, I can take second dragon at 12 minutes, Riptide spawns at 14 minutes, I can start to go for that advantage as well, and suddenly you're connecting the dots on both sides of the map, and that becomes very quickly and very easily able to run away with a game. So I think that's where if GIANTX can continue to leverage this advantage on bot side to be like, hey, we can take for dragons, we can start to move for a Rip to 14.
Carzzy's dead. Ulti comes out, Carzzy tries to walk back, he gets a brief moment of life. IgNar gets the kill, though they deny the cash out, but I have a feeling that Hylissang might just be next. Ignite is now ticking, Patrik desperately needs to get the kill, deny the money, the shutdown comes through! Redemption! Hilly finds the angle, IgNar's level 6, he pushes the death button, and he is successful in finding that Odoamne now going all in on top side. Hilly gets a kill back bot side, but it just seems like everything is falling apart.
I mean, Patrik didn't even have a huge amount of stacks left for him to be denied. So the fact that at least they still get the kills going across means that they're still controlling bot side. The wave will be picked up by Carzzy here at least, so it'll help out. But you can see an 800 gold lead collector now already completed for the Draven. That's such a massive pickup, and just a good flash from IgNar. Immediately able to get up to Carzzy, who's trying to crash this wave. You can look at where Daglas is, a bit far away from the bot side, so not actually there to support Vitality in crashing this wave in the bot end. And at least Hilly, as you say, does get the kill, which denies some gold. But realistically, it's a very slight silver line.
It was about 70 stacks. It was at 90 something and went down to 20 something. So, you know, 140 gold taken away. Doesn't, you know, again, maybe makes you feel better. I'm not going to tell you it does much past that. Someone's like, would you like to buy $1 million house? You're like, no. They're like, how will we give you a 3% discount? You're like, still can't afford that. Fun fact. Yeah. But now the collector has come through. From what I have seen in solo queue, it's very often Youmu's. It's a cheaper early item. It gives you the movement speed as well. But Patrik is super fed, so you can understand why he might go for this one. Obviously gives you the crit chance on top of the AD. Same AD value, but you get the crit chance now coming through. And the execute, which Dravens do love.
Yeah, I think at this stage, when you're able to just play so heavily for bot lane, Titanic Hydra complete onto Peach as well, thanks to the early kills. He's bringing out Jackie's good roam timing here, though.
Odoamne could be in trouble here. Daglas is going to be able to find the CC to follow up. Good start to the fight. Jackie's now looking for the knockup. He's going to find 3. Photon just barely able to step out and grab that kill for himself. Bit of a slip up on the top side from Jackie's. Well played. Engage on the bottom side. Pullback is there. Hylissang immediately going to ult. Decent damage now coming in as Peach and IgNar fight. TP there. Peach going to do what he can to hold on. Ulti to push Photon back. Photon now leaping in. They're trying to keep the fight going. Desperate. If Patrik gets a single kill, this could be a disaster. One shutdown now coming through. Can they take Patrik out as well? One more kill. They will. He gets the cash out first. But they managed to find the kill on the bottom side. Hope for Vitality.
Good response from Vitality. So TP by Vetheo to the top end to keep Photon safe and get some turnaround plays there. And then immediately Photon responds in kind to bot side. And now Daglas, with all this movement, going to be able to pick up the remaining of those Void Mites as well, or sorry, Void Grubs, which means that with all 6 of them now picked up by Vitality, they'll be spawning 2 of those Void Mites every time they attack the tower. So really nice stuff here from Vitality to get some much needed wins across the map.
Yep, we take a look back, specifically at the top play here. Obviously keen to spread their advantages across the map, but this was not where GIANTX were particularly strong. They kind of just opted to fight on even footing here, but Vitality had the upper hand because they had the angle with Daglas coming in. Quick response play from GIANTX, but real big credit to the side of Vitality for weathering the storm, for keeping this play going, knowing they had the advantage in terms of resources.
Yeah, and as well, you can see a couple of different things happening in this spot play. So because you end up with the hostile takeover coming through, IgNar ends up using his knockup onto his own Zhao, which means that then that one's kind of gone to fail. Also, Photon just about being able to get the follow-up on the W from the Renata as well, means that he can survive a bit longer, get some much-needed damage off. And now GIANTX trying to see once more if they can make a play on the bottom side, play to the strengths, but Daglas is here and ready to cover.
Respond on the play.
That was blind.
Support items now coming through. Hylissang with a bit of extra tankiness. Daglas trying to buy a bit more space. Peach forced to ult just for the disengage, and a TP now onto the bottom side. GIANTX have committed to the play. Jackie's is here. Wave is now going to come in. Are they going to go for the dive? Spawning that one out. Hostile takeover comes out. It's going to hit Patrik. Peach is in trouble. Peach getting burned down by his own Draven. Now the execute not quite enough, but there's Jackie's. He finds the angle. He waits. He bides his time. 2 quick kills to the side of GIANTX.
Early able to get a kill there for Vitality. Could have maybe turned it around if you got the pop on the Renata W, but not going to be the case. It means that GIANTX again playing heavily for this bot line and finding some major success now. Should be even able to get a plate here for Patrik as well.
Yeah, kind of a bloodbath here on the bottom side. Patrik will walk away. Jackie's holding onto his tower. Vetheo was able to grab some plates in the mid lane. Not sure if it was 1 or 2 there. But remember, again, because of the buffs that they have picked up from the Void Grubs, do a lot more damage. You take a look at this one.
Yeah, I mean, here, Hilly tries to get the hostile takeover going, but Carzzy is the focus from IgNar. Good call. Even Jackie's coming in here. You can see manages to pick off these members, so they're not able to really chase down onto the Zhao, maybe get that pop. But as in now, again, Jackie's will end up spotting out Daglas here with the clone. It looks like Vitality's setting up for the Dragon, but I don't think they're in a position to go for this. Hilly doesn't have ult, Daglas doesn't either, so they just need to back away and gift this over towards GIANTX, who nearly have their ultimates up as well.
Yeah, and you have to be careful. Even though IgNar hasn't even fully stacked his support item yet, he's still just such a massive threat. The extra move speed from Winged Moonplate, and just the lingering threat of a hook to bring him into the waiting arms of Patrik is a terrifying prospect.
The Trailblazer, which is the item he's going for as well, is so strong. Leaving that little, you get the move speed, plus being able to then leave a trail behind for others to follow you means that you can quickly chase after the Blitzcrank as well. It makes this pick potential very, very high. And even the amount of vision that GIANTX have been able to establish on the spot side, thanks to that early lead from Patrik, has been so crucial. You can still see, like, there's a ward at Krugs, which was spotted out on the initial play. They have the wards now that are going down as well in that bot chunk to spot exactly how many members are maybe starting to drift up towards this Rift Herald as it spawns. And this is kind of what we're talking about. Like, for GIANTX, if you're able to get control in this early stages, you can play for Dragons, get a timer that syncs where you're not looking for the Rift Herald off the back of your Dragons as well. And now you've got Patrik who's able to rotate up because he has so much pressure on this bottom side. Carzzy, though, will respond thanks to those Void Mites.
Yeah. I mean, Kalista already, when you can free out a lane, start to roam around the map a little bit. The early advantages she could normally build up. You can get a lot of work done on towers, but their little mites coming out, the Void Grubs empowering a lot of these pushes. See if the Herald can balance out some of the discrepancy there. There's 2 Drakes, GIANTX as well.
I think a lot of this is going to be, okay, let's try and again establish control on this bottom side, try and get this bottom tower, because although GIANTX have some control, it's just not enough quite yet.
Yeah, and quick aside, IgNar has been on 3 stacks of his support item for a very long time. Now, I'm going to assume there's not some mega big brain strategy here. Maybe it makes the hooks more accurate. He finds the angle on Vetheo. Vetheo forced to dash out, forced to ult, but holds onto his flash. But use your stacks, folks. Use your stacks, please. That's the request. Don't ever go to 3.
There, yeah, you basically want to hold on 3, or knock it off 3, so you're sitting on 2, and especially because you end up getting more gold if you hit people with it.
Yep.
You want to try and sit just above that threshold where you got the option to suddenly burn a lot of those stacks on the enemy. But this is what I was talking about for GIANTX. Need to get this bot lane tower down so you can start to open up some control here. And now this is the other side of things, is that you can actually drift your way through and start to use it elsewhere on the map as well. So Zhao, Peach, just trying to move
play
back
the
towards
initial
mid.
D theme song. Let's go! Oh, he's bad. He can't do it. He couldn't quite get around the angle, but he found the angle, and now Shelly will return on her journey to destroy exclusively non-organic life.
Or get destroyed.
Or get destroyed. Well, get destroyed.
There you go. I think this is where, again, you got control now on the bottom side. Jackies can start to shut that in, and then it's about, again, getting control on this bottom side of the map with IgNar to see if you can set up the picks as you're contesting vision here, which is what IgNar is trying to push forward here to do. But also just open up windows of attack for Jackies. This is a bit dangerous, though, for GIANTX. Jackies isn't in position, and Vetheo is able to move across, so that's what you can see immediately as Vetheo leaves from that bot lane. GIANTX just back it up.
Yeah, and as Vitality, you really have to wait to have multiple members in that area before you walk forward to contest the Blitzcrank when you do not have vision. You don't have access into the fog of war. Of course, both supports opting for Celestial opposition. It's kind of the fake Crown of the Shattered Queen passive. You get a little bit of upfront damage reduction for the first few seconds of combat. But for IgNar, it just means it's really hard to dive onto the Blitzcrank and reliably take him down. It gives him so much more freedom to threaten with the hook, to just throw hooks out there. But Vitality trying to keep the pressure up here in the mid lane. Should just knock this one down. GIANTX maybe can find the counter play here, but the tower is likely to fall because of the Void Grubs. Hylissang now stepping forward, immediately trying to kick the play off, but he's going to be in trouble now. Luckily, Kalista there to save Vetheo with the pushback. Ult coming up just in time. Daglas on the backside. Jackie's really not able to find much here, but Peach continuing to walk forward. That's the CC on the top side of the fight. Odoamne goes down. The rest of GIANTX not in an angle to follow up, but Vetheo now going to be in trouble. Peach doing so much work. No one can get into the circle but Daglas. Daglas taken down. Flash in from Jackie's. 2 members locked up. So many blinking health bars, and now it's starting to rain money for Patrik in the mid lane fight.
Massive turnaround play from Jackies, having that pro belt just to get in onto the back line and set up Patrik now. 7, 2, and 5 with the Triforce completed. This Draven is huge for GIANTX.
Very big Draven. Very, very big Draven. Even bigger now. That's before he spent all the money he just made. But you can take a look at this fight. It's going to look a little awkward for Odo at the start.
Yeah, I think Odo kind of got destroyed here by Hilly flashing in to get Patrik. Keeps him out of the fight, then gets pulled backwards. Tries to move in onto Carzzy, who's so low, but just not quite having enough in the tank to take him down, and having no one really to support because Daglas and Vetheo are keeping the rest of GIANTX in out of harm's way. But watch Jackie's here. Goes in with the Proto Belt, flashes forward as well to close the distance on towards Vitality, which just opens up Patrik then to run immediately through the rest of the fight, knowing that the key carries are locked up and he can kill them. But now, picture in picture, we're back to live. Dragon up and available in a few moments. IgNar with the hook.
IgNar now forced to back away. The hook is down, and this is their opportunity to move forward and punish. Patrik waiting over the wall. Odo waiting over the wall. Vitality really need to get this Drake. Do not want the team with the turbo-fed Draven to get Infernal Soul. Need to take this Drake away to deny at least Soul Point. Odoamne now going to get pulled back. Daglas going for the engage of the wall. Vetheo on contest, but the hook comes through, but now it's a pushback. Finding the angle. Massive fight for Vitality. Jackie's once again going to try to turn it, but all of his remaining teammates have been taken down. It is simply not enough. The pushback. Devastating. Vetheo, the perfect ult. IgNar pulls him in and sets it up for the entire Vitality lineup. Jackie's will not make it out of this one alive. Daglas going to find the Shattering Strike. Vitality will eventually find the kill, will take the Drake, and will even out the gold.
The games we have today are so back and forth. The second it looks like GIANTX might have wrangled control, we get this huge play from Vitality.
But look at the hook.
Watch Daglas, goes up and over, the hook into Vetheo, sends him over the wall. Then you get the Renata hostile takeover back across. It was the worst position for GIANTX to find themselves, and Vitality took perfect advantage of this.
Vitality well played to find the 4K Jax damage. He was just free firing in the midst of that entire fight. They were so stacked up. And you can see, we have to give credit to Jackies. This is his first game on a big stage. And remember, this is a guy who got knocked out of the play-ins of EMEA Masters. This is a player who, from our understanding, essentially, you know, is a money ball scouting. Algorithmically, they found the data. They believed in Jackies. They thought they had the perfect answer in terms of what stats to look for, and they opted to put him on the team. And whatever data they got is looking damn good in game one. Jackies, an impressive performance. Yes, Vetheo is ahead in goal, but you look at those last few team fights that were big successes for the side of GIANTX, and it has been all Jackies. But now the ball is in Vitality's court. See what they can do with this pressure in mid.
No real pressure on the map for them right now. They know that Neeko is in that top side, and they can see Odoamne in the bottom end. So I think it's more of a case of shove in, try and establish a little bit of this vision control that is very much situated on the spot side into that top end of the map, and see if they're going to be able to start to set up for this Baron, because that feels like the next opportunity for Vitality, see if they can maybe fish for something, because the closer these fights are, the more value you're going to get out of like Vetheo and Hilly, like we just saw in the last fight.
Yeah. And it's definitely not easy to navigate in a lot of these later game fights up against an Azir who is getting stronger and stronger. And you heard it before in the interview with Razork when he was on the desk that, you know, Baron is a very real option for a team with an Azir, and certainly a very real option for a team with an Azir and a Kalista. All those additional on-hit effects, that additional damage, you can shred through the objective if you're ever left unattended. And while GIANTX, look, it looks good when you got the Blitzcrank and the Draven and they're doing what they do, but it is tricky to play late game fights out with these champions if you're not instantly finding the hooks.
I do think, though, for Vitality, you have to try and play for a fight before Baron. I think if you end up starting up the Baron, there's too many factors that can go wrong. Jackie's getting a good flash in to get an ultimate as you're all grouped up in the pit, having like IgNar yoink your jungler out of the pit as Peach goes in. There's just too many variabilities, so I think it's more so a case of, hey, let's try and get control over mid and top. Let's play for jungle vision there, and then we can drift back and forth between these two towers, start to pick them off, and then as we get these outer turrets down, then we can really look to fully control this top side of the map.
So this is an interesting graphic. Apparently Carzzy has just done much more damage this game than Patrik, despite all of the thrilling Patrik moments that we've been witness to. I would like to remind everyone, however, that melee versus melee top lane damage graphs are fake, because they just hit each other constantly. They're just boosting their stats the entire laning phase. Every other lane, much more complicated trading. These guys just wail on each other all the time.
Yeah, I think the Carzzy has had much more opportunities in fights to get more damage off, though. I think for Patrik, it's kind of a case of, hey, he's trying to play catch-up in some of these scenarios where Jackie's has set him up and he's closing out these fights. But yeah, I think it very much has been, hey, GIANTX are trying to jump onto Carzzy, and therefore he's getting a little bit more output. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case as it continues. I think, again, GIANTX, I feel like playing more for a pick in this scenario with IgNar and with Jackie, so the damage probably won't be as monumental, but it'll be more instrumental as to where it's put.
And it's tricky to navigate a game where you want to play for pick, where you do not have mid lane tier 1 down. You can see that one's still standing, Carzzy doing his best to protect it, because you'd really like to push your vision line deeper so you can know that you're sitting in Fog of War, so you can find these creative angles to catch the enemy team out as they're rotating between lanes or moving into their own jungle. But Vitality really being diligent on their vision game. Look at them push that vision line forward. They control the total top side of GIANTX's jungle.
They have been very scared of that opportunity for a pick, and I think that's why we haven't really seen them go for, hey, shove in mid, try and get vision, and then try and sync up both waves. They're more focused on, okay, we have Dragon in 45 seconds. They'll just ping pong waves for a little bit, establish vision, make sure that IgNar has to actually come towards us and out of his comfort zone.
Yep. Carzzy getting down a cheeky poke here. Can't take the blast count out, but Odoamne manages to interrupt, forcing an instant flash. Very positive trade for the side of GIANTX. Could cost Vitality in the fight to come. But 22 seconds left on the objective. Recall's being started and stopped. GIANTX, do they want to go for this one? Vision coming through. Nor cannot see Hylissang. Where does the hook go? Boom, boom, Blitzcrank. Can you find the angle with the big old box of gloves? Photon just running into the midst of the team, jumping in, the stun not quite going to connect though. Oh, that's devastating. The knockup is there as well from Peach. Photon just gets pulled back. That was not the play you were looking for, but if he finds a kill, he can reset and he will! Oh, baby, one hell of a bailout coming through now as GIANTX looks to try to turn this one on its heads. The health could just be everything despite the Jax revive. Vetheo not able to connect on the Patrik. The Draven access from over the wall. Odoamne finding the resets, but a clean proc of the blast cone to deny him a bit more access to the back line. Just Carzzy versus the world now. Hylissang going to do what he can to save Jackie's uncontested. 3 carries versus Carzzy. Can Carzzy find the angle? One more bailout coming in. Renata not enough. Jackie's and Odo finish the fight.
Cinders explode onto the rift as GIANTX once more find their opportunity to take a fight. Vitality were the ones that opted into this, but it was very scrappy. The majority of Vitality up in mid lane, not ready for Photon's engage. I mean, watch Vetheo hitting onto a clone, Carzzy hitting a ward as this fight erupts. And Patrik the whole time is doing a phenomenal job of getting the damage he needs down. Jackie's keeps him safe as Daglas goes in to try and get that stun to maybe set up the fight for Vitality. And as Vetheo goes in, great flash from Patrik over the wall to avoid the shuffle. And then he's just able to free hit onto the Azir. Vitality were scattered and GIANTX pounce.
Yeah, and as great as these two bailouts look from Hylissang, the second one coming through right here, Carzzy able to find the angle. It's simply not enough. A few seconds of extra life. GIANTX just starting that fight off too favorably, immediately taking the Jax out. Yes, he lives. Yes, he gets a first reset, but then he's dead, and he's the strongest member of the team. You can see in the last fight, still doing an immense amount of work, but taken out so quickly really nullifies any of the potential follow-up. Odoamne holding on to his life. So many resources burnt to take down Patrik. In this game of, incremental advantages, that battle of attrition, GIANTX just coming out on top.
Yeah, and again, it is coming down to, hey, how are we positioning for these fights? How are we setting things up? And GIANTX just in a better position on that one. And now they'll have the opportunity to start to push out these waves a little bit more, try and start to push that vision out and see if they can look for picks. 3 dragons to their name as well means that they're in a much better spot to go, hey, do we want to try and contest for this? Do we have the opportunity to take that fight? Cool, let's go for it. If not, right, let's look for top tower. That's very low. Let's trade it for presence on mid lane as well, where we can try and escape and play for Baron. There's a lot of stuff that GIANTX can now do to punish Vitality for that mistake.
Certainly. Yeah, being on Soul Point is just such a powerful position to be in. Again, you see how scrappy these fights are. Every little edge counts. Blue buff will be picked up, of course, after the 20-minute mark. Everybody on your team gets the blue buff or the red buff. Cannot be transferred on death, however, so you don't just have infinite buff transfers the entire game.
Also, just the Cinders, if we haven't talked about it, is 0.3 ability haste.
Yep.
A little burst of move speed as well, just for a duration while you pick them up. So it is nice to have a fair few of them stack up, but it takes a lot to really make massive differences. But it's still a nice little added feature thanks to the Inferno.
In terms of the ones you pick up, it's a fun minigame unless you really commit to it. And then, it can feel pretty impactful. But obviously, if you kill someone and you pick up 20 Cinders off the ground, and it can feel pretty good. Free 6 ability haste never hurts.
Still though, we can still Vitality have the majority of the tempo advantage here. Pushing in top, they're getting control over mid here and boss. So I think for when I look at this, if Vitality can try and again push in deep, they should be in an okay spot where maybe they can try and get some sort of advantage. But with the way the GIANTX are playing, you can see it's very difficult for Vitality to really contest them on any of the wave states right now. How do you try and move through this topside jungle when it's as lit up and IgNar is ready for a hook? It just feels like we are going to end up waiting for a while.
Knock up. Good damage to kick the fight off onto Daglas. Daglas instantly pocketing the locket of Iron Solari. Can he survive? No. Patrik throws down the ultimate. Hylissang instantly going to disengage with the hostile takeover as IgNar and Patrik try to fight to the death. IgNar holding on to his life, and that one is Photon will knock down the tier 2 on the bottom side. IgNar walking up like an absolute psycho, but manages to walk away. Bit of a scrappy exchange there. Jungler being down. Is it enough for GIANTX to feel like they can take down this objective? It would appear that the answer is yes, as they clear out the vision, and Peach immediately starts it. Now, I believe there's a bit of lingering vision there on the ward, so most likely spotted out. The blue trinket will confirm it. Well, as the Kalista Ghost. Patrik trading this one. Hylissang off to the side again, no ultimate. That's going to be TP canceled. Odoamne cannot come into the fight now. Just the 1v1 versus the Jax. Buying a bit more time. Objective already taken out.
And Odo's out. Great trade coming through from GIANTX. I think they needed to try and force that with Jungler down because they'd lost that bot tier 2. They will end up losing mid tier 2 for it as well, but now they can actually finally start to push out onto the map and not have to worry as much about struggling with the waves. But yeah. Oh well, Vetheo's sticking around. I don't know if that's the call.
I don't feel about this call either, but Hylissang is in the area. GIANTX might finally break mid lane tier 1. It has been 30 minutes. Enemy teams, mid lane tier 1 is still standing. Bit of rallying for the defense as well.
for GIANTX though, this game is starting to get more and more difficult as this go on. Like Vetheo, you can already see very quickly working up towards Ravenous Death Cap now completed. You even have the new item of Terminus completed onto Carzzy, which is every second auto. You will get either Ramping, Armor Pen and Magic Pen, or you will get Armor and Magic Resist for yourself as well. So Winsu's just pairing very well with that. Means he's going to be more difficult to try and burst out in these fights for people like Patrik. So I think over the course of this, Vitality will be in a pretty decent spot, and already Photon becoming a menace in the side lane with the Jack show now complete as well. So for GIANTX, it very much kind of feel the pinch coming into this now. As Vitality taking presence in mid lane. Jackie's they don't know! They don't know!
He's going in, but they did. They saw it. They called it out, but will it be enough? Hostile takeover is massive. Patrik on the backside, uncontested, trying to take down Photon. Photon, is he tanky enough to survive for this one? Jax now going to get knocked down. Big cash out, big shutdown, but it's Odo on the side. It is a 2v4. Odo trying to make it out to safety. Vitality have stopped the Baron play in its tracks.
That could be it. I mean, you've still got all 5 members now pushing down in mid lane. It's just Odo and Patrik, so it may not be the end of the game, but they're going to crack open this base. They're going to be able to move back over and pick up that next dragon as well. This is a big swing by Vitality, especially when GIANTX had just gotten the Baron.
They've got the mites as well. Do they want a full commit for this one? They've got a bailout. They've got so many tools to keep this going. Odo has to be careful. If he gets taken out, it gets that much easier to end. Patrik still untouched to the backside. Odoamne standing strong for now. That's the Sterix gauge gone. Want to keep this one going. TP up for Jackie's. Jackie's up in 3 seconds. 1-0 there now. TP coming in. He's looking for the flank. This could be the game deciding play. It's the double TP. Which one's real? Jackie's 3 in the midst of everything. In his first game, he finds the angle to bring back hope for GIANTX. Ulti comes out. Daglas just has to run for his life. Odoamne grabs the kill on a rampage now. How much can GIANTX get?
Vitality flew too close to the sun. They thought they could go for the end, but end up overextending. And now GIANTX want to try and crack the base themselves. 30-second death timers. Photon by himself. I don't think he can hold.
I don't think he can hold. All right, Jax. How kind was the patch to you? Going in, extra CC, start now going down, trying to take somebody out, but it's just not enough. They don't have the tools left. Eyes on the prize. First win coming through for GIANTX. What a turn from the rookie Jackies.
Massive play by Jackies to get the TP, find the opportunity to come in on that back end and finish off the play, but that game was so back and forth with opportunities on both sides to take the game, but it's GIANTX who managed to come out on top.
And an incredible start again for GIANTX. Remember that for the early game, it looked like they were going to be in total control. It was Vitality who fought back, who managed to limit some of the impact of this Draven, to find multiple successful fights in their favor. But Jackie's finding so many fight-defining ultimates. And even though Vitality were able to call it out, they saw that minion coming, they jumped on, they mitigated the fight, they took the fight, they got maybe just a little bit over-eager. And GIANTX were so quick to punish. Promising start for this new lineup.
Yeah, you just need to slow it down there. You take the dragon, the reset, you got the opportunity to push, but it's GIANTX who were taking a bow in front of us after a fantastic first win on their first day.
It was fantastic indeed. But for now, we're going to toss to a quick break. When we return, more League of Legends. Don't go anywhere.